the letter O in French pronunciation with FrenchSpanishOnline.com. This lesson is a bit complicated because we have many exceptions. The sound O in French, we have two sounds for the letter O. The most common is written this way in phonetics, and we have an example here, vote. So the sound here is A, vote, A. The second O is written this way in phonetics, and we have an example with the word mot. Here we have the sound O. Let's hear the difference again. A, vote, O, mot. For the most common, the first O, written this way. When the sound O is not the last of the word, we use this sound. For example, to say 14, we say 14 with the sound A, 14. Important, important. Again, homme, homme, we have this sound A. And the city of Italy, the capital, is Rome, the same A for these four words. We have an exception for words ending in OSE, like rose. Here you can hear that the sound is O. We don't say rose, we say rose. The same thing for glucose, the sugar, and sclerose, the disease. So these words ending in OSE have the second O, rose. Let's speak now better about this second O. We've just seen three examples, written this way in phonetics if you want to find it in a dictionary. When the sound O is the last of the word, this is our first rule for the second O. When the sound O is the last of the word, for example, mot. Here we don't pronounce the letter T, so the sound O is the last of the word, and we say mot with this sound O. The same thing for un patio or un micro, the abbreviation of microphone, un micro, because they fit the last sound of the word. The same thing for un lot. Un lot in French is a pack of something, a set of something, and also a prize. So lot, we don't pronounce the final T, so the sound O is the last of the word. If you remember the lesson about the letter A, we have this combination of letters A, U and E, A, U, and the sound is O, the same as the second O here, O. The second O, we have a second rule. When we have a circumflex accent on the letter O, we pronounce it this way. For example, bientôt, soon, or un hôte, a guest or host. These two words have one word in French, we say un hôte. Ôter, the verb to remove, to take away. So because of the circumflex accent, we have the sound O. There is an exception, of course, with some words starting with the H. This word actually has the same root of hôte, but the first O is the most common, so we say A, un hôtel. And the same thing for here, un hôpital. In spite of the circumflex accent, we use the first O in French, hôtel, hôpital. Let's see now some combinations of letter. For example, the first one, O and E. Inside a word with a circumflex accent on the letter E, the sound OE is like wa. Here it's une poêle, a frying pan, une poêle, wal. At the beginning of a word, like this part of the body, we don't pronounce the O, we just say œsophage. And because it's a masculine word, we say un œsophage. A second combination of two letters, O and I, the sound is wa. Like la loi, the law, moi, me, myself, la croissance, the growth. But some make a difference between these two moi. Moi for myself and moi for month. Here the difference is not of the letter O, but of the letter A. Listen again. The first one for myself we say moi with the sound A, and month is moi with the sound A. Moi, moi. It's not the same A. Another combination of letter O, U. Here it's simple, we just say ou. Le loup, the wolf. Nous, we. La roue, the wheel. So the sound here is ou. O and a Y. It's like Y actually, so it's a bit complicated. O-Y, we say Y. For example, broyer, to crush. Broyer, we have the sound Y. The same thing here, noyer or voyage. Again, it's the sound Y. Let's see now a vowel and a consonant, OM. When OM is followed by another consonant, which is not a M, like here a fireman, the sound is on, pompier, on. However, if it's a second M or a vowel, the sound is pomme, rhum. So the sound is A. So we have on and A. All the medical words ending in OME, and this is an exception, have the sound O. For example, we say un angiome or un athérome. We don't say un athérome, but un athérome. So this is an exception here for the couple of letters OM. ON now. At the end of the word, the sound is on, un cochon, a pig, or bon, good, mon, my. If we have a second N or a vowel, the sound is different. So here we have bonne, bon and bonne, or trombone, with the first O, the most common. Of course, we have an exception here with the sound O, so the second O to say zone, la zone, or ozone, l'ozone. Here the sound is O. Okay, so take time to revise this lesson to be sure you are able to pronounce these words with the letter and the sound O properly in French. C'est fini. Thank you very much for watching these slides with me. If you want to have more listen, and if you want to revise the pronunciation of the letter A and the letter E in French, go to FrenchSpanishOnline.com. It's free. Au revoir.